Last week, I did something I have never done before. I went on a 3-day silent retreat. Here's how the whole thing went down. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how it went. I will be honest, when I went, I didn't really get the whole idea that you're supposed to get away from everything. On a 48-hour retreat, I brought 5 books, running shoes, and a notebook with which I would plan the future of my life and our church. And I sat down with my spiritual director and shared all of my ambitions for my spiritual getaway, and he laughed at me and said, no, the point isn't to be productive. You can read one book, and it has to be the smallest of the books, and you can only read a little bit every day. And not running shoes for physical exercise, but hiking boots for slow contemplative strolls, and not a book to plan out the future, but some time to sit and be present. So I'll be honest, the silent part, I actually really found easy. Like, I hate having to remember names. It is very stressful stuff. Making small talk is one of my least favorite things. It was great. The solitude part, however, was a little bit trickier. I just walked into this room, and there's like 30 people sitting in this room, and they're just on rocking chairs looking out the window like crazy people. I woke up in the morning, breakfast at 8:30, time with your spiritual director where you could speak for like 30 minutes. Chapel, lunch. After lunch, there was nothing until bedtime. Lunch ended at 12:30, and there was nothing for me to do until 11:30, which is the absolute earliest I can go to bed. That's 11 hours of just nothing to do. I went for a nice long walk in nature, and I got back at 2:30, which means now there's only 9 hours of nothing. The rest of the day was spent looking out the window and looking at some pictures of Jesus back to the window. So difficult. I have a very hard time being still. But my director encouraged me to focus on being present. It got me thinking about this quote by a spiritual director named Ruth Haley Barton. She says, "When a jar of river water sits still, the law of gravity causes the sediment to eventually settle to the bottom so that the water becomes clear. We don't have to do anything to cause that settling except leave the jar alone for a while." The same is true of the spiritual law of gravity. Because if you're anything like me, this jar is rarely sitting settled. This is how I wake up in the morning. I'm asleep. I gotta get to work. That's how my day begins. I wake up with anxiety, and the jar gets shaken a little bit. And then I think about money, that I have bills to pay, that work project, those relationships that are in distress right now. I remember the crisis in the world. I remember that people are being deported, the poverty and the gentrification in my cities. I think about all my fears and my anxieties, and I run to work, and I go and pick up my wife, and I get home and we make dinner, and we get the baby to sleep, and by the time I settle at the end of the day and I look at my soul, it looks like this. Cloudy, chaotic. I can't even see what's going on inside of myself. Completely unsettled. Ruth Haley Barton finishes the quote by saying, "When we sit silently in God's presence, the sediment that is swirling in our souls begins to settle." We don't have to do anything but show up and trust the spiritual law of gravity that says, be still, and the knowing will come. And it reminded me that this idea of silence and solitude, this is something that we all need to practice as human beings. Whether you're religious or not, this can be a helpful practice for your inner life. Look, here's the thing about being busy. I love it. I like being busy and being productive. And right now in the world, there are a lot of things that could use your time and energy. All right, we have a refugee crisis, we have injustice all around us. Your neighborhoods, your communities, and your world needs your energy. But you can't do anything for anyone else if you aren't taking some time to be still and to be healthy and to be whole. You have to let your inside settle before you can go and help anyone else. Some of the people that inspire me most are people that are incredibly productive. I can barely watch a Casey Neistat video because it makes me envious of how much he gets done.
From 6 to 7 is when I do email. So then that's sneaking in 1 more hour of work.
I watched this video by Gary Vaynerchuk, by the Gary V. He was giving life coaching with brilliant advice while he got a haircut.
Hustling 24/7 on the Instagram DM.
And that's the kind of person I want to be. I want to be so good at being productive and getting shit done that I can do it while I'm getting a haircut. But I'm becoming more and more convinced that in order to sustain ourselves for the long haul, we need to have a healthy inner life. And that's going to require some time of non-productivity, some time of silence, and some time of stillness. Here's the challenge. Take a few minutes, not talking about a long time, maybe 5-10 minutes. Set it on your phone, put the phone on airplane mode, set it aside, and look out a window for a while. Sit in stillness. Maybe read some sort of material to settle your soul, some poetry or a psalm or something like that. Give yourself a few minutes every day to let the jar settle. Thanks so much for watching. This is a new channel. I would love your support. First, click that thumbs up, like button down there. You can share this video with somebody who would appreciate what we're doing here. Finally, you can subscribe. Even better, there's a bell next to it once you click subscribe. You'll get an email every week when these new episodes come out. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. There'll be a new video next week.